Everyone wants the secret to the algorithm. There's some hack out there, some trick for big channels that are using that no one else is talking about, and if you could find it, everything could click. Even after doing this for 14 years across dozens of channels with billions of views, I'm going to essentially show you what that actual secret is. There is none. So the algorithm is boring, and that's exactly why most creators stay stuck, or they just give up. The truth is so plain and dull that they refuse to accept it and just keep chasing tricks instead. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what the algorithm rewards, the formulas that actually move channels, and the mistakes that quietly kill them. YouTube doesn't care about your channel, it cares about your video. Each video gets judged on its own, and the only thing that YouTube is asking is whether the next person it shows the video to clicks on it, watches it, and leaves happy. YouTube is looking for three things. Did they click it? Did they watch it? And did they leave satisfied? That's it. So for the next 24 to 48 hours after you upload, YouTube is just reading your video, figuring out what type of person would want to watch it and whether it's worth watching. Newer channels sometimes take a little longer before things start moving, so don't read too much into it, especially if it's got a slow start to begin with its first few uploads. There's also this idea that one bad video kills your whole channel. It doesn't really work like that. YouTube looks at each video on its own, so a video where 30% of your subscribers watched all the way through is a much stronger signal than one where everyone clicks it and bails in the first minute. People make a big deal out of metadata and tags and descriptions, and they don't really do a whole lot. They can contribute about 5% towards organic reach on YouTube and search results, but for the most part, YouTube knows so much about your video these days through a lot of AI transcript revisions, what's in the video, they visually analyze it. So metadata is only giving YouTube just a small starting point. But I don't spend 15 to 20 minutes on a video doing SEO manually because vidIQ does it all with a single click. Titles, tags, descriptions are all sorted for me. I don't have to think about it. The link in the top of the description will get you 98% off, or just go to murrayfrost.com/vidIQ. It's a tool I use to help remove 20 to 15 minutes of work on every video just because of the tags and descriptions. And vidIQ does help with a little bit more SEO, but at the same time, I use it for my video ideas. An extra thing that you can add to your YouTube video for more search-based content, and vidIQ does that in a couple seconds. So what actually does determine whether a video gets pushed? Right? It comes down to three things. The first is your video idea. Is it good? Is it interesting? Are people actually going to watch it? The second is essentially how long people are going to watch your video, and not just a number that will shape your retention curve where people are dropped off. And the third is satisfaction. So likes, comments, people engaging with your video. Are they sharing it? How much are they watching? Do they watch it again? Do they watch more of your videos? So much goes into audience satisfaction. Everything else is basically noise. Now, one thing to keep in mind is if your channel is brand new, click-through rate is going to be deceptive and honestly not a true representation of the results. Not many people are going to be clicking on it because they don't know who you are, and especially because if you're not having great ideas to start with, your click-through rate is going to be lower. So don't focus on this early on. Focus on better ideas and retention. Your title, your thumbnail, and your hook are not the three separate tasks that you do after every video is recorded. They're essentially one decision, and you can make all three at the same time. The idea comes first. If the premise isn't something that people are already going to click on before you filmed anything, no thumbnail or title is essentially going to fix that. A simple way to test it is to describe the video in one sentence and see if that sentence makes sense, and is that going to make someone want to lean in to watch more about that. The title's job is to leave something unresolved. If your title explains everything, unless you're talking about search-based content like a tutorial or helping people solve a problem, then the viewer has no reason to click because they already got the answer. You want a gap between what it says and what they actually have to do in order to watch the video to find out what the answer is. The thumbnail then confirms whatever the emotion promises from the title, and they should work together like two pieces, or sometimes they do contradict each other to generate even more curiosity. They should never repeat the same words from each other because then it just becomes redundant and there's no extra context. And then the hook is essentially the first couple sentences of your video, and it has to match what the thumbnail and title have promised because that's what tells your viewer that they clicked on the right video. If you start talking about other stuff, your audience is either going to skip through it or leave your video. There are essentially 7 formats that actually work in long form. The first one's listicle. Having a numbered list, you can essentially repeat that format forever. And it works in browse because titles that make a clear promise about how much value is coming, and keeping that number small helps. 5 to 7 tends to do really well, but you've also probably seen 100 to 1,000 different tips in a video and they've listed that in the title. So that sometimes can do well as well. The tutorial is search driven, so CTR ceiling is essentially lower than a viral listicle, but the subscriber conversion is so much higher because the person watching is actually trying to solve a problem. Tutorials build trust, listicles build reach, and you can even combine the two. But tutorials have high buyer's intent, which is why if you have affiliate links in them or you're selling a product or service, generally per view, you convert your audience to that offer a lot more than most other content out there. Now you can also trick your audience where your title speaks to a much broader audience and then your video can actually deliver and focus more on a specific type of viewer. This is usually useful when you want to grow without losing the people who already know you. But if you overuse it, people do stop trusting your titles. So make sure that you're not doing clickbait, because that's also a concern that you need to be careful about. So there is a skill involved with that. And if you want to learn more about those skills, I have my YouTube Growth Accelerator program. It's dirt cheap right now. The link is in the description. Feel free to check it out. It'll show you a lot of the strategies that I teach my clients on how to get monetized in under 90 days. The brand or case study approach for YouTube videos is where you pick one thing that's already winning, a brand, a creator, a book, or a product, and you break it down exactly why it works, then shows the viewer how to apply it to their own situation. The proof is already built into the format, so you don't really have to convince your audience that it works. Long-form commentary is essentially useful if you're working with clips from other content. A 30-second short using someone else's footage is barely transformative, so you need to make sure that you add more content to it. But a 15-minute analytical video that essentially breaks down the footage is a different story. The more context you build around it, the safer it is from demonetization and the more credibility it earns. The documentary or story format has the biggest retention ceiling of anything on this list because the narrative structure does work really well. Now you need to make sure that you're good at telling stories and you're not just covering boring topics. So this can also be one of the more volatile topics or formats, I guess you should say, for YouTube videos, because you've got to make sure you've got a good idea, otherwise your audience isn't going to care. You're probably also relying a lot on organic growth and AdSense rather than selling a product or service. So this is where views also really do matter. Now, one of the trade-offs is time, because documentary videos do take a lot longer with content and production, especially if you're doing it yourself and you're trying to reach a high production value, and having a team can get expensive. So either way, it can be a little bit difficult if you don't know what you're doing, of course. And the personality or vlog style or day in the life is really only working if you've got an established creator, because it lives on browse and suggested and nobody's really going to know you. And if they just click on a random vlog, you're going to struggle. Although it has kind of been making a comeback recently. You're probably familiar with Casey Neistat and how he kind of spearheaded a lot of that vlog movement. And it kind of still works as long as you've got an established audience and you've got interesting content. But you can't just vlog your day like Casey Neistat used to do to gain attention. You've actually got to stand out a bit more than that now. Now, there's a lot of mistakes that people make, and the first one is optimizing your click-through rate on its own. One of the mistakes that I've seen is that creators are trying to compare to creators who are at a different stage than them. So if someone's at 500,000 subscribers and they're going to essentially address a broad audience with a broad title, you can't copy that with 1,000 subscribers and expect the same results, especially if the idea is not optimized. If a bigger creator posts a video about a bad idea, they may get a few views or some decent viewage compared to maybe what you would normally get. But if you post the same idea and it's a bad video or a bad idea, you're not going to get the same reciprocation from your viewers. Now, one thing that a lot of creators do is worshipping vain metrics. So like your subscriber count, the best time to upload, whether your video is in 4K, how many likes and how many comments you're getting. None of these really move the needle in the algorithm all that much. Retention, viewer satisfaction, and subscriber per video is really what's going to help your video do better. Subscriber count is nice and it does help you get better brand deals, but as far as being able to get monetized, obviously there's that 1,000 subscriber threshold that you want to get for YouTube AdSense, but even before that you can get monetized, which I show you how to do in my YouTube Growth Accelerator program down below, where I show you how to get monetized in less than 90 days, but you can essentially do that without AdSense. And that's pretty much the whole YouTube algorithm. I told you it's actually really boring, but if you want to know exactly what to turn off for your brand new channel to essentially stop YouTube from working against you, then this video over here is going to show you exactly how to do that, where you can turn off a few settings and get more views and subscribers.